Welcome to Creative Movies Recapped. Today's recap is a 2006 docudrama thriller film called United 93. This film is based on a true story. An Islamic man in a hotel room is saying a prayer. He and another Islamic man decide that it is time. There is a sky view of the lights and buildings of New York City in the darkness. Prayers are heard in the background. The men are getting ready to leave the hotel. They continue to pray in the Islamic language while rocking back and forth on their knees together. One Islam man in the bathroom is sharpening a knife. They soon depart the hotel. It is now daytime, and they are heading to Newark Airport by car. They arrive at the airport, and we see the usual hustle and bustle that is constantly happening at the airport's long lines, as people look distressed and shuffle their bags. Other American United flights are getting ready to take off out of Newark. Captain Jason Dahl and his assistant officer Leroy Homer are shown walking through the airport and boarding the plane. The 5 female flight attendants are also shown walking behind them and boarding the plane following them. The 4 Islamic men, Saeed al-Ghamdi, Ahmed al-Haznawi, Ahmed al-Nami, and Ziad Jarrah, are shown going through security with no problems. They show a sense of nervousness as they successfully make their way through. The men are then shown sitting in the waiting area with the other passengers, sitting mostly in silence with a small moment of conversation in the Islamic language. They are surrounded by people on their cell phones, unsuspecting of anything. At the National Air Control Center, the members clap for the promotion of their head, Ben Sliney. They exchange good mornings, and we learn that the air traffic seems to be decently heavy because of the president being in flight on the same day. The plane is fueled and people are called to board the plane. The 4 hijackers look nervous as they do. Everyone enters the plane and the door is locked. At another air traffic control headquarters in Boston, an employee gives instructions for American Airlines Flight 11. In Flight 93, Captain Jason Dahl introduces himself to the passengers, telling them of their arrival time in San Francisco, and telling them it is a beautiful day for flying. At Mr. Ben Sliney's air traffic center, everything seems to be operating normally when an employee in Boston Air Traffic Control Headquarters who is tracking American Airlines Flight 11 from Boston to Los Angeles International realizes the captain is not responding to him. They are still trying to get in contact with Flight 11. The Boston controller watching the flight hears a foreign voice on the control and knows it is not American. He tells his supervisor, John Moritis, and believes the plane to be in a hijack situation. At the main air traffic control center, they receive word about a possible hijack on Flight 11. They are still uncertain if it is actually happening, and Sliney goes into a meeting where they discuss almost playfully the last time a hijack incident ever happened. Captain Dahl tells the passengers of a delay because of rush hour traffic. The Islamic men are shown looking distressed, and Ziad Jarrah is muttering Islamic words under his breath. Back in the Boston Air Traffic Control Center, no contact has been made with Flight 11. They begin to review the tapes of what the possible hijackers had said over the system. The Northeast Air Defense Sector in Rome, New York is informed of the possible hijack situation. They begin to track the flight and begin to make contact with the Federal Aviation Administration, which regulates all aspects of civil aviation in the country as well as over surrounding international waters. Sliney is in his meeting when an employee comes in and tells him of the Boston Flight 11 information, where they learn a hijack situation is taking place. The flight has turned southbound, and the Boston Center is no longer able to track the plane. United 93 is ready to take off. The tapes of the hijacker's voice on Flight 11 are reviewed in Boston, and it is discovered that the hijacker had used the word planes in his message. This notifies them that there are going to be more hijacked planes which they have to watch out for. Flight United 93 takes off. The passengers are relaxed in the plane, but the Islamic men are all in tension. In New York, the Air Control Center is informed of possible hijack situations. They are told to keep an eye on the situation. Sliney's Air Traffic Center learns of the message Boston has uncovered. The New York Center loses sight of American Flight 11. The Northeast Air Defense begins to scramble to send out their Otis fighter planes. The smoke is seen first by the men working at the Newark Airport Center. The air control centers as well as the air defense learn of the smoke that occurred because a small plane had crashed into the World Trade Center building. They also learn they have lost the signal of American Flight 11 somewhere over New York City. CNN shows the World Trade Center on TV to the National Control Center. Everything is normal on Flight 93 and the flight attendants are doing their job. Back at the Boston Center, the signal to United Flight 175 is now lost. It becomes a bit chaotic here, and the fight to control the traffic in the sky is deepening. They believe this loss of signal to be another hijacking incident. The National Control Center learns that the crashed plane was United Flight 11 and desperately tries to contact military liaisons. At the Newark Airport Control Center, workers watch as the second plane, Flight 175, hits World Trade Center. The military starts sending fighter planes over Manhattan. Back on Flight 93, two of the Islamic men, Ziad Jarrah and Ahmed al-Nami, converse in Islam. Al-Nami is telling his colleague that they should start their mission. Every plane flying into Boston, Washington, and NY is stopped. There is too much traffic in the sky to get clearance from the FAA to send in Otis planes. We learn United Flight 11 is still in the sky and had not crashed into the building. Also, American Flight 77 has not been responding for the past 25 minutes to air traffic centers. The FAA is not clearing the fighter planes to enter. The Northeast Defense Center calls for the president to give them the go-ahead on the fighter planes, which does not happen. All the traffic control centers are waiting to hear from the military for their help. Slinny realizes they need to start taking action or more problems will occur. Ziad and Ahmed al-Nami are arguing whether to start or not. Ziad tells him to wait, but the impatient Ahmed al-Nami signals to the rest to start. One of the Islamic men, Ahmed al-Haznawi, goes into the bathroom on the plane and begins to create a type of bomb with supplies he has brought. He puts the finishing piece under his jacket as he enters the cabin. Another hijacker holds a knife on the neck of one of the flight attendants. The hijacker with the bomb stabs a random man sitting in first class and then removes his jacket for everyone to see the bomb. The business class hears the commotion but is confused. Ziad Jarrah goes toward the cockpit with al-Ghamdi. He orders the flight attendant to let him in and kills Dahl and his assistant, Homer. Ziad Jarrah begins to take control of the plane. It loses control for a minute but he stabilizes it. The passengers see a stabbed passenger. Jarrah places a picture of the Pentagon on the steering of the plane. The Boston Center now has no response from United 93 and only heard screams. The passengers are terrified as the Islamic men make their way into business class and scream at them in Islam. The hijackers learn their brothers have already hit both targets. The National Control Center demands that military planes take action. There is still no allowance from the FAA or the president, so no action can be readily taken. The passengers on Flight 93 are seen calling for help from those at home. One flight attendant learns of the pilot's death, and the passengers overhear her telling the others. The air defense sector finds out that another flight, Delta 1989, has been hijacked. American Flight 11 is heading toward Washington, and no military moves have been made yet. CNN breaks through with a fire at the mall in Washington with the cause of the fire unknown. The passengers on Flight United 93 find out about the two planes that hit the World Trade Center. Ziad realizes that they are far from the target and might be stopped by the military from the continuous voice calls from the air traffic center. He decides to fly lower and minimize the chances of being detected. The passengers all panic and are terrified. A small group of men passengers realizes they have to begin to fight back to try and save their own lives. They begin to make a plan to do so. Using the flight attendants' help, they collect items they could use as weapons. The hijackers become afraid the passengers will attack and begin getting angry, screaming, and threatening to kill them. Goodbye phone calls are being made throughout the cabin. Both the passengers and the Islamic men in and out of the cockpit pray. The small group of men passengers discover there is a pilot among them and plan on getting him to the cockpit and killing the hijackers. They attack the two Islamic men who are not in the cockpit. The hijacker pilot is informed of this and knows he must speed up to reach his target. An intense fight breaks out, screams are heard, and it is a serious struggle for all to live. The passengers get more aggressive on realizing that the bomb is fake. Ziad turns the plane in corners and up and down to stop the passengers from getting to him. They struggle hard to fight for their lives as they all knock on the cockpit door to break it. They finally get to the cockpit, and despite the tries of the passengers to take the pilot away from steering their plane, they are unable to stop him from crashing the plane into the ground. The plane crashes in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, killing all 44 of the people aboard, including the 4 hijackers. Of all the 4 hijacked planes, United 93 is the only plane that fails to hit its target. Hope you've enjoyed today's recap. If you did, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching.